Welcome, friends, and thank you for joining me on day 7 with Peak Flicks. Today you will need your Bizarre Animals book, sticky notes, and a pencil. Our objective for today is that we will set a purpose for our reading by pausing to ask questions. Good readers ask questions. It's important to ask questions while you're reading so that you can better your comprehension and perhaps do some additional research at the end of your reading. Today we're going to try to ask thick questions as opposed to thin questions. Thick questions are questions that make us think a little bit deeper about what we're learning, where thin questions have answers that are right there in the book, so they're pretty easy to find the answers to. It's important to activate our reading before we start reading. So before I opened up the cover of our book, I asked questions such as, what makes an animal bizarre? Do these animals look strange? How do these bizarre animals behave? And which animals did the author select for this text and why? I would like you to pause this video and ask some questions before you begin your reading. Now let's practice asking questions during our reading and then afterwards. I'm going to read about the aye-ayes. Aye-ayes live on the island of Madagascar. These odd creatures can be found in the canopy of the rainforest. They prefer to live high in the trees and rarely touch the ground. Like many creatures, they are active at night and rest during the day. Aye-ayes have special adaptation that helps them hunt. The third finger on each hand is long and thin. They use it to tap tree branches while looking for food. The tapping sound changes when they find small insects living inside the branch. Then they chew into the branch with their long teeth. Using their thin finger, they reach inside to dig out the meal. Some people find the aye-aye to be so bizarre it's frightening. They tell legends of the aye-aye being a demon. They say it can kill by pointing its long, eerie finger. Here are some of the questions I had during my reading. How do they sleep? Do they make nests? What type of sounds do they make? And after reading Specialized Hunters, my questions were, what insects do they find in trees? And how big are they? Now I would like for you to give it a try. Set a purpose for your reading by asking questions. Ask questions before, during, and after reading more about bizarre animals using sticky notes. Don't forget to stop and think while you're reading before you turn the page so that you may have time to jot down these questions in your sticky notes or paper. And at the end, remember to reflect on your reading stamina and behaviors and complete today's exit ticket. Good luck, everyone. And now let's move on to a writing workshop. You will need a writer's notebook, pencil, and your Bizarre Animals book. Our objectives for writing is that we will set a purpose for our writing by introducing the selected animals for our Bizarre Animals Zoo with a hook. In this lesson, you will learn how to create a strong opening for an informational text by hooking your reading and telling them what to expect. So you're going to be almost communicating to your readers or your audience, and in this case, your guests at the zoo, by creating a strong opening to introduce your animals. A good hook. Just like fishermen use a hook to catch fish, authors use different strategies to catch readers. One thing authors do is make their first sentence or two interesting for their reader. This makes the reader want to keep reading. Characteristics of a good hook. It's in the form of a question. It uses humor or it's silly. It makes the reader want to keep reading. It makes a connection with the reader and it appeals to all the senses. It puts questions in the reader's head and it doesn't always tell the reader everything. Sometimes a particular hook only contains one of these characteristics, and sometimes you may find that it has two or three of these characteristics, but certainly not all of them. Here are some anchor charts to help you begin your opening statements for your selected animals. You can use figurative language. You can ask questions. You can use a quote. You can make a bold or challenging statement, and you could certainly give definition or facts about. You can also ask questions where the reader is expected to find the answers right there. Or you can start to use your background knowledge and what you have read to share information about your animal. You can also think about all of the different answers that your reader will come across as they get to the end of their reading. And you can also use your own experiences and background knowledge to share more about the selected animals. Here is an example of a Tasmanian devil sign where the author made sure to engage its reader. They started with a heading, and the heading is in the form of a question. This is a way to engage the readers so that they may want to answer the question as they find out more information. You may use questions to hook your reader or to create a heading. Here is another example titled Outside the Box, which is pretty interesting. However, if we read the part at the bottom, we can see that it has some interesting information which engage the reader to want to learn more about sloths. For example, Lisa Nyans, her husband, and her 2 young daughters are peering into the window of the sloth exhibit at the Milwaukee County Zoo, hoping to catch a glimpse of the elusive animal. We always come in the small animals building and see if he's out. She spotted him hanging on a branch for the first time recently, but no such luck today. Fezzik, the 4-year-old Hoffman two-toed sloth, is fast asleep in his box, only a pile of wiry brown hair visible from the box opening. What do you think that the author used to hook or engage their readers? They set the mood. They explained what the setting was like, they explained what the sloth was doing, but they also used a dialogue lead where we got to hear some of the voices from the visitors at the zoo. You may use dialogue as well in your opening statements. Here's an example that I wrote. In your notebook, you're going to draw a shape of the sign that you would like to create for your selected animals. You're going to need 5 signs for 5 animals. Here is an example of the one I have written about platypus. I titled it Particular Platypus and used alliteration, double P, Particular Platypus, as I thought it would make an interesting heading. And here is the interesting information that I've included in my opening statement, in my hook. What is it? A fish? A bird? A mammal? Well, this bizarre animal is one of the most unique animals on Earth simply because there are none like it. The platypus is the only kind of its species. It is an egg-laying, semi-aquatic mammal that looks like a cross between a duck, a beaver, and an otter. I'm not going to continue because I'm only trying to just hook my reader in. Later on, I will share more information, and this is a beginning statement to engage my visitors into learning more about the platypus. So I've used interesting facts, but I've also started by asking questions. What is it? A fish, a bird, or a mammal? Hoping that my reader will want to answer these questions or find the answers to them. And now I would like for you to give it a try. Set a purpose for your writing by introducing your selected animals, 5 of them, for your bizarre animal zoo. Draw an animal exhibit sign in your notebook like so. And hook your reader. Create a strong opening for all 5 animals with a heading and a lead, and with interesting information. Use your previous key details notes from the lesson before and refer back to the text if necessary. And remember to reread, edit, and revise your writing and complete today's exit ticket. Have a great one, everyone.